Om Tat Sat. My humble prostrations to the all-pervading Brahman or God, to my worshipful Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayananji Maharaj, to sage Narada and all the sages and saints, and to each of you divine soul watching today's satsang. So today we will be starting sutra number 2 from the Narada Bhakti Sutras, and we are on chapter 1. So chapter 1, sutra 2. Commentaries by my worshipful Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayananji Maharaj, narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. So let's get started. Sutra 2 is Sa Twasmin Param Prema Rupa. Let's repeat. Sa Twasmin Param Prema Rupa. That indeed is of the nature of supreme love in the divine self. So, in the Brihad Aranya Upanishad, Brihad Aranya means the forest. So that these Upanishads are extremely deep philosophical thought processes that sages and saints have collected for us, which are pertaining to self-realization, God realization, Brahman, the meaning of life. So all these Upanishads, there are actually 108 of them, out of which maybe 10 or 12 are major, and they are covered. So Brihad Aranya Upanishad is considered one of the major Upanishads. It declares through the teachings of sage Yagyavalkya, Atmanastu Kamaya Sarvam Priyam Bhavati, which means that for the sake of self, all becomes dear. Everything that we like, we appreciate, we enjoy is because of our own consciousness, the self within us, or the divinity underlying all names and forms is of the nature of supreme love. On the other hand, the love that one experiences for one's mother, father, brother, sister, wife, husband, and other relatives, as well as for the objects of the world, is a dim and distorted refraction of that love of the self. So think of yourself as the light, and the little rays of that light that are coming, you are seeing in the form of the refractions that you seem to love externally, like your dog, your parents, your things, yourself, for example, and your kids, all that. While the love of the self is like fire, all experiences of human love are like smoke with brief moments of shining sparks proceeding from the fire of love. So that is the goal of our reading the scripture, is to go learn from that blazing fire rather than just to be stuck in the smoke and the sparks. So supreme love is the very nature of the divine self. That is called supreme para bhakti. Supreme love is the nature of the divine self. Our self is actually loving. It is not an attribute of God, but God himself. So God is prema rupa. God himself is love. The devotional literature of Srimad Bhagavad Purana portrays Lord Krishna as the very personification of transcendental love. And in the Ramayana, Lord Rama is an embodiment of supreme love. An aspirant may adopt any divine form according to his choice. That is the beautiful freedom that Sanatana Dharma gives us. Just like we like to change different clothes, you can pray to different deities, although we know fully well that all these deities are just a means to the eventual end, which is called one God, one Brahman, one consciousness. But yet we have the freedom to pray as we choose. He may choose Jesus or Buddha, Rama or Krishna, and consider the form as the very personification of that transcendental love, which defies intellect, mind, and senses and is beyond human comprehension. So therefore, in short, we say God is love. God is love. Love is prem. Prem is bhakti. So therefore, we get beyond these limited concepts of so-called religious dogmas that we have created. Oh, if you're a Christian, then you should only do this. If you're a Hindu, you should only do this. No. It basically says Sanatana Dharma means a type timeless. Everybody, all of us, we are all created equally, and we all have the same red blood. We all die the same way. We all give birth the same way. We cry from our eyes. We laugh from our smiles, and so on. So these are universal principles, and God's energy is sustaining each one of us. So there is no reason to think we are separate or superior to others. Nobody is superior or inferior. We are all kind of breathing, and nobody knows when our last breath will be. Doesn't matter how much science has advanced or this or that. One little corona can come and shake the whole world up, you see. So therefore we have to understand that a lot of humility is required. We need to treat Mother Earth like our mother. We have to respect life, humanity. Then love automatically, spontaneously starts to expand. So though love in its intrinsic form is of the very nature of the divine self, that is our nature of love, it expresses through various forms in human life. As we know, love for inferiors is called anugraha. So when we are blessing the lower people who are on the lower scale, like even animals and all that, we have graciousness and anugraha towards them. Love for equals is called prem. So therefore these technical terms, love for elders is called shraddha or respect, love blended with faith and reverence. And love for one's beloved is pranaya or melting love. And love for God is called bhakti or devotion. And so since we are focusing on the love of God, therefore this is called bhakti. And since we are learning this from sage Narada, this scripture is called Narada Bhakti Sutras. So once you touch bhakti, you're automatically touching all these lower forms of love. In this sutra, sage Narada uses the term tu, which means indeed or but. It is suggestive of refuting the view of other thinkers who hold that negative emotions can be considered aids on the path of devotion. So in Narada's view, it is impossible to develop devotion while the heart is invaded by sentiments of lust, anger, hate, fear, jealousy, and pride. So just as darkness cannot exist before the sun, effulgent sun, these negative qualities cannot exist with devotion. So therefore purification is instantaneous. It becomes automatic. We cannot, if we are holding on to jealousy, anger, lust, greed, pride, and then we say, oh, we are doing bhakti also or meditation and we are feeling great, that is all an illusion. We cannot progress on that path unless and until we become better in every aspect of our life. We have to lead a saintly life in order to walk on this holy path, and but it will take time. So don't be too hard on yourself, and don't push yourself, but let it gradually unfold. It's just like a little seed turning into a flower. It's a spontaneous process. So there are, however, passages in the scriptures that sometimes confuse some people, where we see Ravana being killed by Lord Rama, or Shishupala being killed by Lord Krishna, for example, and then their head is cut off, and then we see an energy comes and goes and merges into the god, and then they get liberated. So we say, how come somebody who is having so much anger and hate for somebody, how can he be liberated so easily? And the real depth behind that is that these so-called demons are actually fulfilling their curse. Remember the way we talked Shrap, which is a curse, and then it is to cut down that negative karma. And think of all this energy, that light going and merging back into the Lord for salvation. It's like a short-circuited energy. So when the energy is short-circuited, it becomes a Ravana or a Shishupal or a Kamsa, and it becomes very dangerous. But you do need the electricity, you do need the energy. The challenge is to convert that short-circuited bad energy into good energy, and therefore they go back to the basis is therefore love. They originally loved God, and now they were sent into human embodiment, and they were expressing their love through hate only. And then when eventually when they are about to die, the love re-emerges and they connect back. So this is kind of a deeper interpretation of the mystic scriptures of the Hindu philosophy, which can be very confusing sometimes to normal people, but here's the deeper explanation. Similarly, even when aspirants commence their devotional movements on the basis of fear, dread, or passion, they are able to transmute those negative sentiments by the blazing fire of love. So just as base metals are turned into gold by the touch of a philosopher's stone, it's called parasmani. There is such a stone, we say in the Sanatan Dharma, that anything you touch, it becomes gold with it. And there is this Midas touch in English also, a story like that. So negative sentiments are transformed into divine love by the touch of devotion. So with devotion, and this has happened, actual situations have happened many times actually. Sage Valmiki, for example, was a murderer, a highway robber, and he came into good company of Sage Narada himself, and that is a beautiful story. I think I shared in my previous videos or in Patanjali Yoga, where Sage Narada guided him and asked him why he was doing all these sins, and eventually realization comes and he becomes a disciple of Sage Narada, and then he becomes a very big sage who actually wrote Ramayana. So this is the potentiality of the soul. All the soul had to do was convert that hatred into bhakti or devotion. And in bhakti literature, human sentiments for the objects of the world are constantly used as illustrations to understand devotion. So different ways. For example, if the love of a person towards his beloved, or the love of a mistress for his gold, and the love of a mother for her child were blended. So if all three, such a love would still be inadequate to describe the intensity of devotion. So that feeling of love, like we say, God's love for us is millions of mothers combined. Now just think the love one mother has towards her one child. Now compound that and think of the love a miser has towards the gold. Compound that and think of the love you have towards your beloved, and compound that. Devotion and bhakti is much more than all of them combined. This sort of statement does not mean that worldly attachments, passion and greed are of the same nature, but as divine love. But since they are so familiar, we as human beings are so familiar with these things, that it's kind of used as an example for us to kind of relate to the glory of divine love, the expansion and the intense experience of divine love. So I hope you're enjoying these glorious sutras on Parabhakti by my worshipful Guruji, and written by Sage Narada himself. This is Swami Nikhilananda.